At his press conference, Governor Parson was adamant about sticking to questions about the bicentennial in his inauguration. But when we asked about the state's budget, he admitted that it's going to be a challenge. Right now, ballots coming in are locked in the office's vault area. That's until the Thursday before the election, when judges begin opening and processing them. I'll tell you what's not here is the parking meter damaged by the car involved in last night's incident. But what you can see are tire marks in a hole where the meter used to be. This document shows how much the city made off selling materials and how much they spent providing the service. When comparing those numbers, the net loss for the last 2 fiscal years is just under $4 million. If you placed your trash in an ordinary bag like this one, the city's not going to pick it up. A fire official told me earlier that employees were inside the building when the fire started, but they were able to get out safely without any issues or injuries. Officials are investigating what caused the fire, but they said the building is completely destroyed.
It was a shock. First thing that set in, of course, was the worry of it's right here at Christmas.
The manager of a gas station just 5 minutes down the road from Pearson & Sons Trucking says she can only imagine what the business is going to face the next few weeks.
Pearson's is very important for what they do. My boss uses them for his equipment and things like that. So like I told you earlier, he's a farmer as well. So he depends on them. A lot of people around here do. And it's just very sad that now they're gone.
The assistant chief with Jonesburg High Hill Fire District said the building was already in rough shape when they got there.
When first arriving units got here, the building was well involved. It's a rural area. We have no hydrants close to the area, so we asked for several tanker strike forces to come and provide water for us.
He says fire suppression was going well until the roof collapsed.
The roof pancaked down on top of the floor and caused us to have no access to what's still burning. So at that time, we called for a track hoe to come in to open the building up so we can try to get in.
Fire crews from as far as Marthasville and Herman came to help put out the fire, and a couple hazmat trucks out of St. Charles County were called to the scene as well.
We were requested out by Incident Command to assist with some runoff of some oils and other petroleum products from the fire. There's a nearby creek that they were concerned about for contamination.
The team was able to contain the runoff from a couple hundred yards away from the building. Fire crews have since left the scene, and we are still not sure at this time as to what caused the fire. Live in Montgomery County, I'm Brendan Hall, KOMU 8 News. Sarah Paris took her son Colt to the ER on Tuesday the 15th because he wasn't able to hold down any fluids. He ended up testing positive for COVID-19, and the next morning she noticed Colt wasn't speaking normally.
I just figured he's in so much pain and he's so tired because he's not resting that he just doesn't have the energy to talk.
Then she noticed he wasn't grabbing his stuffed animal correctly.
He was laying in the bed, and I was on his right side, so therefore I would hand him the stuffed animal, and he's typically right-handed, but I thought he would just grab it. He reached completely over his body with his left arm.
That's because Colt had a stroke that cut off blood supply to the left side of his brain, keeping him from moving his right arm and leg. A neurologist at the hospital says doctors were looking into the link between the virus and neurological issues.
The COVID diagnosis is important because we think that the reason these patients with COVID, including this child, have strokes and a variety of other problems is that they have a propensity to form clots.
Dr. Gomez says his team rarely performs acute stroke interventions on children, but it's not unheard of. He says helping Colt was the best thing that happened that week.
The ability to give that family, that child that is neurologically improved by the time Christmas rolls around, I thought it was prime for us. We're walking on sunshine.
Colt's mom hopes this experience leads to more awareness about COVID-19.
It can be a lot more serious than just the flu. Children will get it, can get it. You might not have any symptoms like we did. We didn't have a clue that he even had it.
She says if a stranger saw Colt, they might not know anything had happened. But as his mom, she knows he's still not totally himself. From July 2020 until February of this year, Columbia residents complained they were paying for a service that wasn't being provided.
I think it's just par for the course right now in our new reality that we're all going to have to take on a little bit more, so this is part of it.
It often led to overflow at recycling drop-off sites.
Last week I came and there was just trash everywhere, and I feel bad adding to that.
And irritation for residents.
It's frustrating, but it is what it is. I don't know that what the real answer is.
The city's solid waste manager says stopping curbside pickup was necessary due to staffing shortages. He says the solid waste division requires 28 people, 16 for trash, 10 for recycling, and 2 extras in case someone is out sick.
In July, of those 28 positions, we only had 12 of those positions filled. So we had 16 vacancies. We just didn't simply have enough staff to do both.
I requested a breakdown of how much the city made off selling recycled material in 2020 to see what effect the halt in curbside collection had on their revenue. In the months when it was not collected, the city actually brought in more money off material sold, except when you factor in expenses. Assistant Director of Utilities Sarah Talbert gives the bottom line.
So are you guys typically losing money providing this service?
Yes. Yes.
This document shows how much the city made off selling materials and how much they spent providing the service. When comparing those numbers, the net loss for the last 2 fiscal years is just under $4 million. But the revenue numbers shown here don't include what residents pay monthly for the service. That's because the fee includes both trash and recycling, and the city doesn't separate them. Therefore, the city's total loss remains unclear.
I think there's a misconception sometimes that we so-called make money, and that's not the case at all. There is no money made.
Hunt says the budget is set to provide the service at cost.
It's based upon a calculation that our expenses equal our revenue.
But looking ahead to the rest of fiscal year 2021, this year's budget anticipates another loss for the solid waste division as a whole of nearly $1 million. In Columbia, I'm Brendan Hall, KOMU 8 News.